How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting, and welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia, where we are here post-date with Sachi, which it was really, really fun and very sweet, very strange, all of it. I do think it's really interesting. The Sachi route's really drawn out a lot in me. I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm kind of keeping some to myself because I want to save them and see, letting them bubble inside me as far as foregone conclusions go. But ultimately, I'm very impressed with the Sachi route so far. It's got a nice blend of story and motivation, but also just genuine adorableness. The whole lap pillow scene was it was absolutely just mwah, just absolute chef's kiss. It was great. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in the next few parts, but this is about when the shoe drops, I would expect, because with Michiru, things started off very positively, and then the hammer fell, and it got really intense, and the other routes are turning out very similar as well, so yeah, I'm waiting for it. We're gonna see when that happens, but the story tends to be very plotting, very kind of moving at its own speed type of thing, so I'm not expecting it to just kind of be too intense and too crazy. So for now, I'm guessing this is going to be a much more of a kind of a wholesome episode. We'll see. I don't know. You never know when the gas is suddenly going to hit and it's just going to all burst into flames. But for the minute, it's looking pretty good. So yeah, kick back, relax. Let's jump into the continued exploration of Sachi, her emotional feeling. And I think the other thing is that we're seeing the creeping invasions of actual Sachi coming through. We've seen it here and there before, but I feel like it's coming through more now, which is really good to see, but I worry what it's going to do to her mental stability and how we're going to try and, deal with that as that happens, because eventually, it's gonna come crashing down again, so we'll have to see. But the nice thing is that it looks like Sachi really was able to sleep comfortably when she was with us, which is a really, really good sign. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. Let's jump right in. Walls have ears, soji have eyes, and a long-standing proverb in this country. And in modern times, when minuscule spy cameras can be mounted on mosquitoes, it's truer than ever. Since such electronic bugs are significantly more credible and accurate than an ear against the door, you could say the advances of science have only worsened the ancient problem of information security. And it seems even in this isolated community known as Mahima Academy, Mihama. I keep saying Mahima. Why? Why do I keep switching the A and the I? Mihama Academy is no exception to the general trend. Let down your guard for even a moment, and you'll suffer the consequences.
Well, to
be fair, it wasn't like we were trying to hide that. I'm assuming he didn't expect it would become such a viral topic.
膝枕って言うと、最近買ったマグロマンの DVD についてきたあれのこと？
それは抱き枕。しかも、あんたの言ってるのはカバーの方だから。
Excuse me. Amana heaves a small sigh, barely audible over the churning of the washing machine at her side. As it so happened, our little courtyard interlude yesterday was recorded by a camera Machina had set up in the courtyard as part of a surveillance mission targeting Michiru, rendering Sakaki's considerate discretion sadly meaningless. By this morning, the lap pillow incident was common knowledge throughout the dorm and beyond. Oh, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure she probably uploaded that to YouTube. Anyway, Sakaki, you decided on your request yet?
改まって聞かれると、すぐには。
Since I've now spent a day in servitude to both Amane and Michiru, the pair of them magnanimously deciding that today would be Sakaki's turn. But if a genie popped up and told the girl, you have 30 seconds to ask me for anything you desire, I'm pretty sure she'd dither the time away and end up empty-handed. I'm still on standby at the moment.
ユージが何でも言うことを聞くって言った時は、マッサージとか言ってなかったっけ？
Maybe she feels guilty about asking for that now.
あの時はちょうど肩が凝っていたからそんなことも言ったけれど、今はそれほどでもないから。おかしいな。私の調べでは、昨日も夜の2時までパソコンを触ってたはずなのに。
Wait, how would you know that?
あなたはどうしてそんなことまで知っているのよ。さあ、どうしてでしょうね。
How? That's creepy. Oh, hi Sachi. Has someone been using Sachi for late-night spying operations again?
この際しのごの言わずに、風見くん、私のオナニーを手伝ってもらえないかしらって言っちゃえばいいのよさ。
Oh, we're just firing it right off, huh?
ダメダメ。榊さんこう見えて結構純情だし。
Well, I don't mind waiting for direction, but if you aren't going to ask her something, it seems a little pointless for me to be here. If you really can't think of anything, I'll go back to my own business.
それは。ほらほら、ユージもこう言ってることだし、何でもいいから言っちゃいなさいよ。さあ。わかったわよ。それなら洗濯でいいわ。
Are you sure about that? At all?
ええ、ちょうどランドリーにいるし、洗濯物は私が持ってくるから。
Alright. These washing machines make it easy at the press of a button, so there's no problem on my end.
それならよかったわ。
Hey, Michiru. Arriving on the scene with an overflowing laundry basket in her hands, Michiru peeks over her mountain of dirty clothes with an expression of clear surprise.
なんでこんなところにみんなが揃ってるのよ。はまさかあんたたち、私の誕生日を内緒で祝う計画を立ててたんじゃないでしょうね。
Is it anywhere near here? And if it is, we would never tell you.
そんなことされたって、私は全然嬉しくなんかないんだからね。
This might be one of the most genuine tsundere moments we've actually seen.
あれ？私、何か変なこと言った？
そうですね。変なことというよりは、全くの見当外れと言いますか。
Just dropping it like it's hot, Sachi. Well, that's life. Hang in there, kid.
また励まされた！
Deflating like a punctured inner tube, Michiru treads sullenly toward the washing machines.
でもいいの？榊さん。
Yeah, I know, right? Amane, I know what Amane's thinking, and I'm thinking it too.
何の話？ユージに洗濯を任せちゃって。
He's gonna be...
本人も洗濯ならできると言っていたわよ。
Yeah, but it's what he gets to, handle. Because, this is a anime, manga, visual novel. They're gonna make a huge deal about underwear.
そうじゃなくて、ユージ、男の子だよ。間違いなく女の子には見えないけれど、それがどうかした？下着とか見られたり触られたりしちゃうと思うんだけど。
I mean, I knew that's where I was gonna go with this, but they make it such a much bigger deal than I think most of us guys would even really be that concerned about. I mean, it would be odd, and if you already had if you already were having feelings for somebody, it might be a lot more intense of an issue. But most of the time, it's just clothing.
風見くん、やっぱりさっきの用事はなかったことにして。
Okay, you're the client, so that'll be fine by me. We don't get much of her, and she's not going to be in too many thumbnails since we're not covering her route on the channel, so this might be a good one.
代わりの用事はちゃんと考えておくから。
As soon as the words are out of her mouth, Sakaki hurries out of the laundry room and descends the stairs at a trot. Seems strangely flustered. Don't tell me she's still hanging on to the pair of lucky teddy bear panties.
そこまでは知らないけど、どんな下着でも意図せず見られて嬉しいものじゃないわよね、普通は。
I guess that's fair. Huh. Come to think of it, there was a time when I thoughtfully washed a pile of JB's dirty laundry without being asked. And although the woman usually walks around with her underwear half exposed, her reaction was an angry snarl to the effect of, "I'll do it myself." Seems pretty consistent with Amane's theory.
で、そろそろ本題に戻りたいんだけど、昨日のデートで、さっちゃんとはどこまで行ったわけ？
Not far. Just down the station. Why? What a beautiful Yuuji response. At times, it really just feels like he's a hembo. He's not, but he sometimes has his moments.
こういうのは、ユージよりさっちゃんに聞いた方が早そうね。
I don't know, actually. I think you're gonna get the same answer. Heard the same thing from JB yesterday. It seems like I'm not particularly well equipped for this sort of conversation.
というわけで、どうなの？さっちゃん。
Hello! So, yeah, literally something just came up and I had to stop recording and it's been like a day. So, hello, welcome back. We're just gonna keep going. You're probably like, why did you even bother saying this? I don't know. It feels weird for me to not acknowledge the fact that I completely changed my shirt. Anyway, alright, so what's the deal?
どこまでというのは恋愛の進行状況を聞かれていると思うのですが、恋人らしい行為というのは膝枕くらいだったと思います。
I mean, yeah, and honestly, fantastic start. I think it's good, and it's always important to pace yourself. Not that, you know, games and, you know, anime or any media have to follow the logic, but I like it when it feels a more believable path. And so far, actually, it's weird to say, but despite the fact and the reputation and some of the crazy moments this game has, I feel like a lot of the pacing for the relationships they depict here are not too bad. Obviously, like, things often will go much faster at a much faster pace than is probably typical, but at the same time, they're usually very specific circumstances around the events that occur and why they occur that really make it add up to me. Also, it's kind of like every relationship's different. Everyone's going to take their pace at their own pace, you know, whatever they're comfortable with. Some people are willing to go fast Sonic style, and some people prefer to take the slow tortoise route.
本当に？合間にキスとかしてないの？
はい、していません。
じゃあ、当然エッチもまだってわけよね。
Yes, the logic does follow that. Look, woman.
エッチといえば金属加工の際に用いられたりする技術エッチングのことでしょうか。
I love that. You could hear it in the audio line, like there's ecchi, which is erotic, and etchin or achan, which is erotech apparently, which is great to hear that those two words are so similar.
いや、私はそっちの方を知らなかったけど、こう男女の営み的な？
男女の営みというと、性交、いわゆるセックスのことですね。
You know, I've said before that bluntness is something I find very attractive in a person, and Sachi's got the most interesting bluntness because on one hand, it almost sounds like she's just like almost horrifically naive, but at the same time, she's absolutely not. So she's just straightforward and so pure straightforward. You don't know, like it's like she doesn't understand nuance at all, and it's really weird, but it kind of works once you figure out how like her mind works. Like once you understand her, it's like, oh, well, of course that's how she would express this.
サッチン容赦ね。アマネーが珍しく投げてくれた変化球を剛速球で返してきたのよさ。
Yep.
でも、アマネさんが言っているのはセックスのことですよね。
Yep.
まあ、そうなんだけどさ。
じゃあ、アマネさんは私とユウくんがセックスしたかを聞きたかったんですね。
She's just gonna just take all your nuance and just sprinkle it all across the floor in pieces.
いや、なんていうか。
それとも、ここはあえて交尾と言い換えた方がいいでしょうか。
ごめん、私が悪かった。
Like, it's almost like it's almost like the saying of like, what better way to kill a joke than to explain it? It's like the same thing, except it's even worse somehow. Not bad, Sachi. Making Amane of all people bashful is considerable achievement.
でもさっちゃん、今のうちに覚悟だけはしておいた方がいいわよ。
Oh yeah.
覚悟ですか？
Oh wait, wait. Watch what you say.
そう、膝枕なんかしちゃったら、次はすぐエッチすることになっちゃうんだから。
つまり、私はもうすぐ処女膜を破られる。そういうことですね。
Oh no. Sachi, please.
もうだからなんでわざわざ言い換えるのよ、この子は。 姉が切れたのよさ。
Don't think I've ever seen her push this far before. Oh gosh.
まあ、さっちゃんって我慢強そうだし、そういうのは案外平気そうだけど。
Stoic. I don't know. Stoic doesn't seem quite adequate to express what she's like, but that's okay.
はい、墓の痛みに耐えるシミュレーションなら。
Oh my gosh. Oh my. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? I don't want to. I kind of want to know, but I don't want to know.
ああ、そうなんだ。まあ、私は一応アドバイスしたからね。
Yeah, this conversation should have been terminated about 5 minutes ago.
はい、ありがとうございます、あまねさん。
He's just sitting there, just like, what do I even do? It's definitely not a bad thing that our classmates care enough to express their concern, but given Sachi's tendency to interpret advice in oddly distorted ways, I'm a little worried Mane's well-intended words may create more problems than they solve. Yeah, I believe it. Oh no. Looks about right. Confirming that the cool air is once again flowing from the vent, I climb carefully down off the stepladder. After anguishing at great length about her request, Sakaki ended up mumbling, come to think of it, the air conditioning in the hallway hasn't been working too well lately, and sending me off on a chore largely irrelevant to her own. And so, after borrowing some basic tools from a closet, I performed some simple maintenance on the overhead AC unit, cleaning out the ducts and replacing the machine's filter. Even as she holds the ladder steady, Sachi's gazing up at me with something like wonder in her eyes. Okay, what's on your mind this time?
いえ、ゆうくんは庭園管理士の資格だけでなく、電気工事士の資格まで持っていたんですね。
Nope. It's handyman stuff. In fact, I was actually doing a lot of handyman stuff today. We had a hallway light that just suddenly stopped working. And, to be frank, I still don't know why it stopped working, nor why I was able to fix it. It had 2 light bulbs. It turned out that the last time someone had put in a light bulb, it was one was like kind of like one of those like low wattage fluorescent lights, and one was a bit more of a standard light. And it had been working for a while, and then it just stopped. And I was like, okay, well, I changed out the bulbs and kind of like it wasn't turning on, so I kind of went and kind of, the best word is jimmied. I jimmied the connectors a bit, where you screw in the light bulbs. So I just kind of moved it about to try and see if I could just like I was looking for burns and oxidation examples. Like essentially, I was looking for exposed wires that were coming into contact with the wall. Now it would normally create a short that would like flip the breaker, but still it would be. It's good to know if you're having electrical issues like that. So I kind of like moved things around a little, didn't see anything, and I put 2 standard bulbs in, so I made sure that they were the same, and now it works just fine. I don't know why. Maybe it just had like a bit of a faulty placement connector. Maybe it didn't like that it had 2 bulbs that were running different wattage requirements. Maybe I have a short and I just didn't see it and managed to reconnect it with my manipulation. I don't know. We'll find out. I just hope I don't burn the house down not knowing what's going on. I'm not qualified or certified in either of those fields, actually.
でも、エアコンはちゃんと動いています。
Yeah, when AC units break down, 9 times out of 10 it's because dust and grime has accumulated inside the machine over the years. Even without any specialized technical knowledge, it's possible to perform some basic repairs. And in the first place, the title of electrician means you're licensed to wire buildings and such. That's a completely different can of worms.
だとしたら、ゆうくんはすごいです。
Aww.
もし私が頼まれていたら、業者さんに修理を依頼するしかありませんでしたから。
Well, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but usually for like low maintenance stuff, like if a quick look on YouTube and a willingness to get your hands dirty a bit can save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So like, why not when you got to take care of your own place? That's one thing that's nice. Like the difference between living in a home versus living in an apartment and renting. When you rent, you just call up, the owner and they take care of problems, or they call their maintenance guy. When you live in your own home, or like a family home, you you have to take care of the problems yourself. But it leads to a lot of education, and you quickly learn that you can save a lot of money if you just at least screen for the basic problems first and then call in the specialists when, you're scratching your head or you find a genuine problem. Well, I personally went through this route because I know a little about air conditioners, but if you're looking for the most reliable method of ensuring the request gets fulfilled, your judgment is probably the better one.
そうでしょうか。
Yeah. The hands-on approach is only feasible when you happen to know how to solve a specific problem, after all.
それなら私ももっと勉強した方がいいかもしれませんね。
Maybe so. I'm not telling you to glue yourself to your desk even more than you already do, but it can't hurt to expand your breadth of knowledge.
なるほどです。ところでゆうくん
Yeah?
ゆうくんは私とセックスしたくなったりしないんでしょうか
Oh, subtlety. Your name is not Sachi. That didn't take long. Alright, look, Sachi, this is just like the thing with JB yesterday. Why are you so worried about what other people say about us?
ですが、某所の調べでは私たちくらいの年代の実に 43% がすでに性交渉を済ませているというデータも出ています。
Right, and there's certainly lots of people who are horrified at that. I'm guessing those statistics came from another magazine you found in the convenience store rack?
なぜか見破られてしまいました。
I mean, where else were you gonna find it? Just a little statistical analysis of my own. My data indicates that 99% of your data is that sort of crap.
もちろん、ゆうくんの頭の中でいくら私が凌辱されても構わないのですが。
Dude, that's the stuff that I'm like, that would like, if I were literally here, if it were me instead of Yuuji, and again, age appropriateness was accounted for, that would bother me, because why is that her assumption and default? It's like, again, it comes back down to this idea that like she's just so literal, where if it were anyone else, I would assume it was just a joke or a throwaway comment, mostly just to get a reaction out of somebody. But for Sachi, it's never been like that. She's always very 100% honest, like to a fault. So in her mind, for some reason, she legitimately thinks that that's not only like okay, but that that's exactly his default. And it's like, it's this weird thing. I think maybe the hypersexualization of like men and mentality, and like this idea that like that's all like guys will think about. And it's like, I'll give you granted, at least from my experience and the experience of others I've talked to, that it's one of those things where like these types of urges are absolutely very quick to rise in the mind, and it doesn't take much to get most of us going, especially if it's around certain people that we like or we're in relationships with. But at the same time, it isn't literally all we think about. Like, there's a lot of like jokes about that, but like if you genuinely start to believe that's all guys think about, you're missing so much of like what makes a person a person. It could be genuinely kind of disheartening. And so for Sachi to say this like just casually, again, if it were anyone else, I would know it'd just be like, oh, it's just a casual mention, a casual joke. But it's like she genuinely believes this. Again, maybe it's something she read about, like these magazines or articles, whatever, where they're hyper, like, oh gosh, I can't think of the word. They're exaggerating. They're exaggerating to get, eyeballs on their articles to try and, push those clicks as you get online. But she's just believing it.
普通の恋人同士がすることなら私たちもしてみた方がいいのではないかと思いました。
Alright, Yuuji, what path are you gonna take? Are you gonna try and simmer things down and try and make things rational? Or are you just gonna jump in and just say like, fine, let's do it? Does that mean you want to try having sex, Sachi?
いえ、あくまでもゆうくんがしたいとおっしゃられるのであれば。
I have a feeling you two's not gonna like this conversation. So even when it comes to something this serious, she relinquishes any role in the actual decision. Let me ask you something first. Would you really be alright with having me as your first partner?
むしろ相手がゆうくんなら嬉しいくらいです。
You serious about that?
はい。小峰幸、いつでも本気です。
Alright, that is very true. To a fault. Is that supposed to be your brand slogan?
すみません。出過ぎたことを言ってしまったでしょうか。
No, I wouldn't say that, but there's no doubt in my mind that Sachi's proposing this because of her belief that a good girl who's closely to the conventional way of doing things. In other words, her own will played virtually no role in this proposal. Of course, I'm not suggesting that adapting to the societal mainstream is a bad thing, and I'm sure not planning on playing some part of a holy martyr who abstains from physical relationships. But right now, Sachi's still missing an important part of herself. Bravo, Yuuji. Bravo. I'm very pleased that his line of thinking is this, and whatever ends up happening in the next, hour or whatever, I gotta give him props for this. His number one concern is making sure that she's okay, and one of his big concerns is her agency. He wants her being able to make decisions because Sachi wants to do it, not because it's statistically appropriate. For that reason, I've started this relationship off on a distinctly platonic note. Now that Sachi herself is approaching me, the question is whether or not I should allow things to move beyond that stage. It's tough because it's like, I'm sure she actually does want certain things to happen and she is anticipating a relationship playing out, but how do we get to that actual core? Because Sachi herself it doesn't seem to distinguish between what Sachi wants and what Sachi believes she should want. Ordinarily, the answer would be a flat no. But precisely because Sachi's wrapped herself inside this shell, I need to introduce changes into her life. Interesting logic, but okay. This offer represents a clear opportunity on that front, but that said, mind if I double check this one last time?
はい、どうぞ。
You don't find the idea of having sex with me unpleasant, Sachi?
はい、嫌だとも思いませんし、相手がユウくんなら安心できます。
I see. There's no guarantee the feelings Sachi expresses to me are real. If Sachi's convinced herself that a good girlfriend loves her boyfriend, she may very well overwrite her own emotions to bring herself into alignment with that image. True, I'll never go anywhere with this if I get too caught up in this kind of doubt, but it's the seriousness that is serious enough to warrant some caution. At the very least, I think Sachi's sincere in saying she doesn't find the idea outright unpleasant. I mean, that's true. Human relationships. People are just complicated. That's what I like about this. Even though, this is, a very much a topic, stay away. It's just so real, so human. And we often can forget that. We can forget that there's a lot that goes on to just falling in love. And what does that even mean? And what does that entail? It's all very confusing, especially when you're young, but I don't think it gets any more clear as you get older, honestly. In other words, we've met the absolute minimum condition for me to put my hands on her. Why'd you have to say it like that? Alright, since you're obviously up for it, Sachi, let's move to this relationship to the next step.
はい、よろしくお願いします。
That's not... Okay. Oh my gosh. What is gonna happen here? Oh boy, YouTube. About 20 minutes after we head to my room, Sachi emerges from the bathroom, her shower finally complete. Her mere presence filled my room with the fresh smell of soap, prompting a small kick of sexual desire. Normally, I've been trying to keep thoughts like these out of my mind, but right now Sachi's in my room for the explicit purpose of taking the next step in our relationship. It's kind of a strange feeling, to be honest.
ユウくんに言われた通り、体をきれいにしてきました。
Why do you say it like that? Took your time in there, but are you sure you did a thorough job? Might end up having some places you've never got a good look at yourself inspected after all.
はい、髪の毛から足の指先までバッチリきれいにしてきました。
This feels weird. But you're still wearing the maid uniform, I see.
はい、男の人はエッチの際に服を脱がせる行為にも興奮すると聞いたことがあるので気を利かせてみました。
There it is again, that echoing hollowness that but is this real? Is this what she wants? They do say girls tend to collect lots of dubious secondhand knowledge about this sort of thing. Guess it'd probably be best not to bother asking her source for this information.
それでこの後はどうしたらいいでしょうか?
That's a good question. Her face betraying a hint of nervousness, Sachi looks up in my eyes. I'd like to believe the slight pink flush to her cheeks isn't just a lingering effect of her shower. Let's see. According to standard theory, we'll begin with whispering loving words and embracing each other, but today we're going to omit that step.
それは昨今の不景気が原因なのでしょうか?
What? No, it's just that fast, cheap, and satisfying is my personal motto when it comes to sex.
なるほど。ゆうくんは牛丼屋さんのようなキャッチコピーを売りにしているんですね。
This is awkward. Naturally, this motto is a load of crap, but I want to put the kisses and affectionate words on hold until Sachi's managed to regain her normal emotional state. Might think it's a little hypocritical for me to be so conscientious of the point, but we're about to do something more extreme. But I have my own way of thinking about the things that bind people together, and the way I see it, some things matter more than physical intimacy. His philosophy is strange, but I can kind of understand it.
ですが、安いというのはどういう?
Alright, first of all, let's get you a more appropriate location.
まさか、初めてのエッチは外で?
What? No, I was talking about the bed.
なるほどです。
With that, Sachi promptly walks over and settles down on top of my bed.
とりあえず、座ってみました。
Right. Now get yourself in a comfortable position. Pull up your skirt. Oh gosh, YouTube. Oh boy. Jeez.
ゆうくんが言っているのは、こういうことでいいんでしょうか?
Alright, well, we'll be parting ways here. I think, as usual, YouTube is already going to have problems with most of this, so I'm going to just experience what happens, and then we'll come back together at the end of things, and I'll relate my thoughts on it, of course, but for now, I'll see you on the other side. Oh, YouTube, please forgive me. Okay, so I think we're back. It was interesting. Now, this could end up needing to be deleted if I'm wrong, but based on what I saw, it was very, actually, again, the thing about these types of scenes where, like, it's very, focused on the physical aspect of a relationship, what's really interesting is context. Because a lot of times people look at this and be like, oh, it's just about a smut. It's a smutty game. It's just itchy, just a bunch of porn. It's like, no, it's not. Like, it really isn't. Like, there was so much, even throughout that whole sequence, it was all about kind of a dance between Sachi and Yuuji. And it was one of those moments again where we get to see a real feeling and real emotion for Sachi. We get to see more about like the person that's in there that's been so constrained by her own code like she almost never actually gets to manifest. But she was kind of cornered in a way because there's no guidebooks, or she's never received any like instruction about what she's supposed to do or what she's supposed to feel, and so we just get to see her, and that was really cool to see. And it was very focused on her, and I liked that. And even at the ending, like, it didn't actually end the way that these scenes typically do. Instead, it was essentially one-sided. Now, that's why I'm thinking maybe it's not actually over, which is why I don't know if this will even make it to the video or not. But I still want to say these thoughts about, like, if it ends right here, I think it's going to be probably, like, one of the better, like, physical, like, intimacies that we've had in this game, and actually one of the better ones I've seen in most visual novels. If it continues on, we'll see. Obviously, I'd have mixed feelings about it at this point, but I can't really judge it. I'm gonna play things out and let's see what happens. But for the moment, I think this was a really appropriate way to kind of explore Sachi's feelings, but also keeping it relatively. It's oddly it's weird to say it like this, but it oddly was very respectful of Sachi as a person, whilst also still being an experience for both of them. But it was very much focused on her rather than it being like a me type of situation from Yuuji, where he's just doing whatever he feels like, which is cool. Again, I think it's a very good writing and good understanding of characters and where they are right now. I'm gazing at the scenery outside my window when Sachi walks up to my side, evidently finished with her second shower of the day.
今日は本当にすみませんでした。私に経験がないばかりに気を使わせてしまって。
No, he chose. He said, let's stop. You've got nothing to apologize for. Getting impatient and rushing ahead rarely ends well, especially with this sort of thing. That doesn't seem quite enough to convince Sachi this time. She looks up at me, her big round eyes tinged with uncertainty. Don't worry, you did just fine today. All you need to do now is take it easy for a while.
はい、わかりました。
And give Sachi a quick pat on the head and offer a few reassuring words. Without any further objection, she nods and leaves my room. Girl's got sharp instincts, not easy to lie to her. As Sachi seems to have vaguely sensed my real reason for stopping halfway through was entirely different. Truth is, something inside me drew back at the idea of going all the way. Something about the idea of taking her virginity just felt wrong. Again, I like this. He's so human for this. He's saying, like, look, it's not just animalistic pleasure. It's about a relationship, and that relationship means more than just feeling good. He's like, no, like, there's something about this that I'm not, like, I don't feel right about right now because we're just not at the right stage yet. And that's cool. That's really good that he has this, and I think that's a good message to send. Like, it's one of those games where it's just like, look, it's like, it's got its moments where it's definitely not wholesome in any way, shape, or form. But when it comes to the actual relationships and relations involved in that, I do feel like it's been grounded very well. Michiru's route had that as well, where it was like at certain points it definitely was very much playing up to the fan service, but there's a good portion of everything that happened leading up to and then after the intimacy that it just felt so human and so well like written. And some of the other stuff was just tacked on just to say it was there rather than being part of the story. This one was really, really good. I think the sequence itself was just very narratively driven. And because of that, they didn't go into that territory of like going too far into being ridiculous. It's still not entirely clear to me why my conscience suddenly kicked into overdrive, but when I touched her body directly, something about my way of thinking changed. I'll have to wrap it up with that for now. I don't know, Yuuji, maybe it's because, are genuinely falling in love. That's possibly what it could be. I guess the hesitation may have ended up giving her something else to be anxious about. Not really what I was trying to accomplish here. But today, some part of me thought, this girl deserves to be treasured, and I don't think that was wrong. So when's the hammer gonna drop?
それじゃあ、しばらくユージを借りていくわね。
JB's arrived in typical flashy fashion to pick me up for the previously scheduled job. Judging from the way she's currently draping her arm around my neck, I'm going to guess the personal escort is mainly an excuse to tease Sachi.
はい、よろしくお願いします。
その間、サッチには寂しい思いをさせちゃうかもしれないけど、我慢してね。
私のことは心配いりませんので、ゆうくんのことをお願いしますね。
あら、自分のことをからかってくる相手にそんなことが言えるなんて。サッチもなかなかやるわね。
ありがとうございます。
She's just like, thank you so much for the compliment. More importantly, anything you want to ask before I head out?
はいはい。行ってきますのチューはしないんですか?
Shut up for a minute, woman. You're the one, hey, look, JB's the one who's poking fun at us. Like, she can take some back. I shake free JB's clingy embrace and cut the flow of crap short with a hand over her mouth.
では、今日のお仕事が終わるのは何時くらいの予定になるのでしょうか?
そうね。
When I silently look in JB's direction, she brings a hand to her chin and thinks the matter over for a moment.
状況に応じて変わってくると思うけど、多分夜遅くになっちゃうのは間違いないわね。
See, I'm glad that they're at least being that specific, being like, look, we don't have a set time. So she says.
ということは、寮には戻ってくるということですよね。
Yeah, no plans to stay overnight. I'll definitely be coming back.
それは約束でしょうか?
Watch it, Yuuji. Be careful here. As she speaks, Sachi looks up at me with a gravely serious expression. Yeah, I suppose it is.
わかりました。それなら私はここでゆうくんのお帰りをお待ちしています。
Just to be perfectly clear, that doesn't mean I want you to stand on this exact spot the entire time, alright?
ゆうくんは失礼です。いくら私でもそこまでバカじゃありません。
I'm sorry, you've set precedent. Sorry, but you've kind of got a track record.
大丈夫です。普段通りの予定をこなしながらお帰りをお待ちしています。
That sounds good. Good. In that case, not a problem.
それじゃあ、お見送りありがとう、サチ。
はい、JB さんもお気をつけて。
As Sachi bows politely, JB and I lower ourselves into the car and draw the doors shut. What twist is gonna happen now, huh?
もしかしたらあの子、ユージの仕事が普通じゃないってか。
Even if she does, I don't think she's likely to bring them up.
でしょうね。それに、本当にいい子だわ。まるで主人の帰りを待つ軍用犬みたい。
Yeah, which ironically is definitely a term you've used to describe Yuuji in before, specifically in other routes. Like I literally have just been like I remember I made note of it in because I'm covering the other routes off channel. I am making notes that I make sure I remember key items and key stuff I want to bring up when I talk about them at the end, because I don't want to just be super vague. I want to share exactly what I was thinking as I was playing through those sections. So I make notes, and that was one I made, is that she often referred to him as a dog. So she's now comparing Sachi to Yuuji using the same lingo. She sees a kinship between the two of them. A military dog? Well, she's definitely a creature of habit, slightly obsessive German shepherd maybe.
でもいいの？必ず帰るだなんて約束して。いつもは嘘でもそんなこと言わないのに。
I know. Wasn't planning to say anything of the sort, but she started staring into my eyes and I just couldn't help myself.
変わったわね。
Yeah? He's changing for the better, though. What, me?
どっちもよ。
If you say so. Look, how about you put making fun of us on hold for the moment and play a little more attention to the darn road?
はーい。
I had been a little worried Sachi might get caught up on the way things ended yesterday, but she didn't seem any different this morning. Maybe that pat on the head actually did the trick.
現場に着いたら起こしてあげるから、ユージも少し眠っておきなさい。
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Obediently retrieving a sleep mask out of the dashboard, I slip it over my eyes and lean back on the soft leather seat. Within moments, I'm falling into a light sleep. It's actually kind of funny because, I've discovered that superpower. I used to struggle falling asleep all the time. And the only time that ever really changed was when I got super sick. And then I could fall asleep pretty quickly. And I think I mentioned it before, but it's my favorite part of getting better is that everything else has come back, and I've got all this energy and all this capability and this drive and this passion, and I keep working and to do stuff and to be productive. I love it, but I kept that little bit of that out of that experience where now I can fall asleep like that, and it's amazing. It's so nice to be able to just be unconscious within 10 minutes. Because I never had experienced that before, and now it's my normal daily routine where I can just drop asleep. As soon as I commit saying I'm ready to sleep, especially if I can set the tone and get some white noise going or something, and just boom, I'm out. Aww, she misses him.
小峰さんがため息なんて珍しいわね。あ、榊さん。それにどこかぼーっとしていたみたいだけど。やはりそう見えてしまいましたか。ええ、なんとなくだけれど。違った？いえ、榊さんの言う通りです。少し考え事をしていましたから。もし何か悩みがあるなら、私でよければ相談に乗るわよ。
I really like this, and I hope Sachi actually talks about it, but I'm also a little concerned that she's going to be a little too forthwith about their recent activities, which it's probably what's going to happen because it would actually be really funny.
榊さん、いくらカップ焼きそばが好きでも床にこぼしたものまで口にするのは体によくありませんよ。
What? Something on your mind?
それは私がらしくない行動をとっていると言いたいのかしら。
Yeah, is that what was that?
違いましたか？確かにその通りだけれど、相談相手が周防さんや松島さんでは偏ったアドバイスになってしまうような気がして。
That's probably true.
はい、榊さんの言いたいことはだからよ。ではこの小峰幸折り入って榊さんに相談させていただきたいことがあります。
Oh boy.
ということはやっぱり風見くんと何かあったのね。あったと言いますか、あるべきものがなかったと言いますか。
Oh, okay. That is unfortunate. Like, it's funny because, like, from his perspective and from his end, his choice to abstain was mostly driven by this desire to make sure that, like, when the time came, she would be 100% ready, and it would be like something he knew would be mutual. Because with Sachi, it's hard to know. It's hard to know for sure if, like, she's just rolling with the punches, or if she's genuinely like, I'm 100% invested in this. But from her perspective, it came across as like, does he like not like me that way? Like, was he having trouble? Like, what, did I do something wrong? She's overthinking it. Oh.
どうやら複雑な話みたいね。それならひとまず場所を移しましょう。ここではいつ他の人間が通るかわからないから。
Yes, good idea.
はい、わかりました。ここなら
Why are they in different uniforms now? why did they change clothes?
それはその通りだと思うのですが、なぜ教室なのでしょうか。イリスさんがいる限り寮内で安全なところはないわ。
That's probably true.
なるほど、とても説得力のあるお言葉です。で、一体何があったのかしら。はい、実は昨日めでたくユウ君とセックスする運びになったのですが。
She'd be like, what?
榊さんは少し大げさに驚きすぎです。だって一昨日まではキスもしていなかったのに、
Yeah,
いきなり、
yep.
そのセックスでなんて誰でも驚くわよ。ですが問題はそこではないんです。というと、実はセックスをすると決めたところまでは良かったのですが、セックスの前にはいわゆる前儀が必要ですよね。
Oh, poor Sakaki. She's just trying to help, but she's already way over her head.
ええ、女性にはいろいろと準備が必要だものね。その通りです。そして私はユウ君の愛撫によって見事にオーガズムを迎えたわけなのですが。
Yep. Beautifully said. Very succinct.
ということは小峰さん、言ったの？
She's like, what?
はい。体が宙に浮く。もしくは意識がなくなってしまうような
What a beautiful
そんな体
summary.
験でした。そう。
She's so jealous.
意識がね。榊さん、今自分がユウ君の手で生かされるところを想像しましたね。でも少しだけ、ほんの少しだけ映像が浮かんだだけよ。そんなことまで答えてくれるなんて、榊さんはいい人ですね。そんなことはどうでもいいのよ。でも小峰さんの悩みがそういうことに関係しているなら、相談先は周防さんの方が良かったかもしれないわね。私は榊さんで間違いなかったと思いますよ。
Interesting.
そう？普通に考えたら周防さんの方がそういう知識を持っていそうじゃないかしら。
I wouldn't be so sure about that per se. I mean, it's complicated. Doesn't even start with that.
いえ、経験豊富そうに振る舞ってはいても、天音さんが私たちと同じ処女であることに変わりはないですし。
Exactly. That's a great way to summarize it.
榊さんが日頃のインターネットで巡回しているサイトを鑑みれば、
Oh,
そういう知識を持っているのはむし
called
ろ
out.
榊さんの方だと私
Called
は
out.
認識しています。
How do you know? Are you like looking at their browser history?
どうやってインターネットの巡回先なんて。
Plus, Yumiko even seems like the person. She seems very tech savvy. You'd think she'd be the first person to understand, but like you make sure you're not traceable. But I guess if you look directly at IP, if you look at this at the source and they're not using a VPN, even if they are using a VPN, you could probably figure it out pretty easily, especially when you're on this side of the connection.
ログイン時のパスワード6桁くらいならかかっていないのと同じですから。
Oh my gosh.
お分かりいただけましたか？ええ。小峰さんとは少し付き合い方を考えた方が良さそうだということがね。では話の本題についてなのですが、続けて。私がオーガズムを迎えた後、ゆうくんはそのままセックスをしようとせずに途中でやめてしまったんです。そうなの？はい。ゆうくんは無理をして先を急ぐ必要はないとは言ってくれていたのですが、
You kind of wanted him to rush things, did you?
やはり私に至らないところがあったのではないかと思いまして。
Gosh darn it. Like, it's like the opposite. It's literally like, I think he was worried that he would just let loose and make it into purely a carnal thing. And I think that he actually genuinely does not want that. Where up until this point, I think his experiences have been involving intimacy. It's been essentially a checking off the box, a just letting things happen, feeling your feelings, like you're feeling your like letting yourself feel good. That's essentially what it was. But this is like a different thing. This is more about the emotional connection than anything else. And so sometimes when your drive is ultimately to have that emotional connection, you don't need to go through every step. Like, sometimes it's enough to just stop where you feel comfortable stopping. Like it should be. Like you should always stop when you feel like you should stop. And you also can put a stop to your things yourself. If you think things are progressing too quickly, you should always be able to hit the brakes. It doesn't matter how long you've been in a relationship. That respect should never go away. It should always have been there from the get-go. And so that's really cool. But I can see why Sachi would misinterpret that his genuine like affection and I would call at this point already love was somehow related to some kind of fault in her because she expected that things would progress in a different way.
なるほどね。榊さんはどうしてゆうくんが途中でやめたと思われますか？そうね。今の話を聞いた限りでは、風見くんが小峰さんのことをただ大切にしているだけとも取れるわね。
Yeah.
ですが、ゆうくんくらいの男の子はみんな狼だと春寺さんもおっしゃっていましたし。
See, that's the problem. She takes that literally when it's like, no, that's a generalization. And ironically, it's a misappropriated one for sure. Like just calling all guys horn dogs who only want carnal desire and like it's all that drives them. It's like there are definitely people who are like that. I'd argue there are girls like that too, but probably more frequently it's guys, and it's probably we're also the least like subtle about that stuff. So I imagine that like if you see one or two people who are just ravenous wolves, as they say, it makes you want to think all guys are like that when that's absolutely not the case. Not even remotely close. Heck, like that, even putting aside things like people who are just asexual or, you know, just have other reasons for not being super aggressively physically intimate. I'd also just argue that most of us would be limited by that desire that most other people are, which is that you want to have a connection with somebody when you're going to go through stuff like that. Like, you can daydream, you can fantasize all you want. Like, that's like, of course, all of us do that all the time. But boys, girls, I think most of us do that constantly. But there's a huge difference between fantasizing and actually, like, wanting to have it in your life. And I think 99% of us don't want intimacy to be just empty carnal fulfillment. We want something tangible and real. and we're willing to be patient, and we're willing to say no if it means saving those types of moments for something meaningful. That's something to be valued, and not because it's like the right thing to do, but because it means that that stuff is special, and that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. There's nothing wrong with exploring and engaging in intimacy, but everyone should do it at their own pace and what they find the most comfortable. And some people want to make sure that those moments are treasured, and that's great. Some people are quite happy with being more open about it, and as long as you're safe, that's great too.
確かにそうかもしれないわね。そう考えると、何か他に原因があったのではないかと思うんです。それなら少し聞きたいのだけれど、その時、風見くんのものはどうなっていたの？
Oh, that's an interesting question. I don't know if she knows.
その、ものというのは、ゆうくんの男性器のことでしょうか？ええ。もし風見くんの男性器が大きくなっていなかったとしたら、小峰さんとエッチなことをしているという意識すらなかった可能性が出てくるわ。
That's a bit harsh. I think it could probably, I don't know, to be fair, this logic would work, at least from my experience, but I imagine that there's a plethora of different people with different ranges of expression.
そうなんですか？ええ。男性器というのは性的な興奮を覚えると、
Well, now we're just getting clinical.
勃起という現象が起こって大きくなるらしいから。
Also, this is basic level stuff. You're not revealing some grand secret here.
さすが榊さん、お詳しいですね。変なところで感心しなくていいから、どうだったのか教えてちょうだい。そうですね。注視していたわけではないので自信はないのですが、大きくなっていなかったような気がします。
I'm pretty sure it did, but okay.
だとしたら、やっぱりそこが原因かもしれないわね。というと、風見くんは小峰さんに対して性的な興奮をしていなかったということ。
Don't say that.
性的な興奮。つまり、エッチなことがしたいという気持ちになっていなかったということね。なるほど。確かにゆうくんは常に私のことを気遣ってくれていましたし、興奮しているという感じではなかった気がします。だとしたら、ますますその可能性が高くなってくるわね。
What universe am I living in where that makes sense? He was focused entirely on her. That should be an indication how much he cares, not that he isn't disinterested. Well, what loopy land are you living in?
そうなのでしょうか。ええ。もともと男の子は経験のない女の子を面倒くさがるものらしいけれど、魅力的な女性が相手ならその限りではないはずでしょ。
What? That's okay. First of all, I don't think most guys care. Second, experience or no, from what I've heard people on both sides of the argument saying that the less experience, the better, and the more experience, the better. I feel like that's ultimately a moot point. Why is that even in this conversation? And secondly, okay, our lives would be very dysfunctional as guys who are into girls if every time we even interacted with somebody we found attractive, it was manifesting in such a way. Our lives would be impossible. It's I don't understand. We're not it's like this idea that we're an on-off switch. It's that's not how that works. We're biological people just like girls are. We all have processes and things to go through. I would assume that it just seems like we're simpler than that, but I don't really think it's that black and white. That's weird. You two should just talk to Yuuji and ask him what he thinks. Well, maybe not both of you. Maybe just Sachi.
確かにその通りです。だったら、小峰さんのセックスアピールが足りなかったのかもしれないわ。
Oh my gosh, do not. Why are you saying that?
セックスアピール。 小峰さんは普段の格好からしてメイドのようなところがあるし、S っ気のある人にはたまらないいやらしさを持っていると思うのだけれど、風見くんのそばには魅力的な年上女性もいることだし、もっといやらしさを強調した方がいいのかもしれないわね。
Be careful, Yumiko. You're sending her on a path. Don't turn her to the dark side. That's fine. Sachi can do whatever she wants, but still.
ですが、私にいやらしさが出せるでしょうか。
少し待ってて。今パソコンで参考になるようなものがないか調べてみるから。
Oh no.
さすが榊さんです。いつでもアダルトサイトが閲覧できるようにモバイルパソコンを常備しているんですね。
That's our Sakaki for you.
相談の役に立つかと思って持ってきていただけよ。それより少し過激な表現や画像が出てくるかもしれないけど、覚悟してね。
Buckle up, we're going to the gray side of the internet.
はい、よろしくお願いします。いつも思うのだけど、この時間のテレビはつまんない番組ばかりなのよさ。
We're gonna end here because I imagine what's about to happen is that we have this interaction. Yuji's gonna walk in, they have a casual conversation. He's gonna ask where Sachi is. They're gonna be like, I don't know where she is. He's gonna walk into his room, and it's going to be a sneaky surprise for him. So I imagine we're going to have more cut content for the next episode, but we're gonna end things here. This was interesting. I really liked the sequence that happened. Really interesting that we ended up going down the conversation paths we went. I don't think it's bad to, I don't think we should be shy about talking about things in a reasonable manner, but I also need to make sure it stays YouTube friendly. But even if it weren't, I probably wouldn't change what I talk about very much because by nature, I am probably one of the safest content creators out there, because if I were to, like, for some reason get kicked off here and have to go to a place like Kick that's notorious for people just being buck wild, I'd be the same. Like, I make the content I want to make, and the only limitations I have that I see expressed, I sometimes will overtly blame YouTube because it's absolutely true that YouTube would have a problem with it, but even if it weren't, I would probably not want to post that online. Like, just because, for one thing, spoilers, and for another thing, I don't know, like, you never know who's gonna stumble on your content, and I like to have reasonable boundaries. But regardless of that, what a beautiful sequence it was. I think it was a fantastic expression of love from Yuji, love that he's just barely conscious of at this point. Now, granted, I understand the miscommunication that's happened with Sachi, and while I disagreed with some of their takes, I do think I understand why they were thinking that, and as a person who is also prone to overthinking things, I can totally see why they drew the conclusions they did. If I were in their shoes, I likely would have had the exact same concerns. I would have likely gone down very similar conversational routes, and I likely would have come to similar conclusions. Because again, you're talking about like a female looking at the male perspective. It's got to be just as confusing and baffling as it is for a guy to try and understand the female perspective. Or heck, even to understand other guys' perspective, or girls understanding other girls' perspectives. Sometimes you have that that easier relation because, you know, you share gender, but at the same time, it's like, it's still complicated and people are still people. It's like I said, like I was even, like with my conversation, I was omitting people who are experiencing things like asexualism, which is just fundamentally different wiring when it comes to intimacy. Just completely different in that regard. So, anyway. Hi, how are you? It's good to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you especially to the patrons and members. You're going to be my lifeline if YouTube decides to crack down on my series for whatever reason. Like, I'm trying to keep it, like, really, like, PG, keeping it real, but also I feel like sometimes people get just obliterated off of the platform for no other reason. So thank you for your added support. It helps give stability, especially if things get tumultuous someday. Like, it'll give me, like, a window to work with and to figure out what to do next. Thank you for just being supportive and everything. It's really great hearing your comments and just hearing from you all, basically to know what you're thinking and to know how excited you are to see the next parts. And I hope that you're looking forward to the continuation of this series, and also just anyone who's still here. If you're still watching this, whoever you are, thank you so much. Anybody who's watching this content, who's listening, and who's leaving like the likes and comments and all of that, it means so much to a channel. Like, I don't care how big or small they are, it means the world to us, so thank you. It helps us know that we're doing something that you like and you want to see more of, and that's a good way for us to keep motivated. I wouldn't need that really to make content, but it helps to know that I'm going in a direction that people enjoy. So thank you so much. But yeah, we'll buckle up for next time, because I'm sure next time is going to be very spicy. So hope you're looking forward to that. And until next video, watch me or see me in next. I'll see you there.